Good morning. We begin today with developments in the national debate over immigration policy. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has announced that 5 Republican-led states are in discussions with her department to create new detention facilities modeled after a controversial Florida site. Speaking at a press conference in Tampa this past Saturday, Secretary Noem praised Florida's temporary detention facility, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, as a model for how other states can partner with the federal government on immigration enforcement. Noem confirmed she is in ongoing conversations with 5 other governors about establishing similar sites within their own borders, though she did not specify which states were involved. The move signals a continued push by the administration and its allies at the state level to expand detention capacity and take a harder line on illegal immigration. The Florida facility has been central to the state's efforts to detain and process individuals who have entered the country illegally, and its potential replication in other states would represent a significant expansion of that strategy. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security is also defending its recent enforcement actions against sharp criticism. On Sunday, administration officials, including Secretary Noem, spoke out in support of a major raid conducted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, last week. The operation took place on July 10th at 2 large-scale marijuana farms in Southern California. Officials report that agents detained 319 individuals suspected of being in the country illegally and also encountered 14 unaccompanied minors. The border czar, Tom Homan, stated that the agents were serving criminal search warrants as part of an investigation into child trafficking and child labor. The 2 farming sites are licensed to and operated by Glass House Farms, which confirmed the operation occurred and stated it is cooperating fully with the investigation. However, the raid is now at the center of a serious controversy. The United Farm Workers, a prominent worker advocacy group, alleges that the operation was chaotic and dangerous. The group claims several workers were injured during the raid, and tragically, that one man died a day after he fell from a 30-foot building he had climbed, allegedly in an attempt to evade agents. DHS has not directly addressed the specific allegations of injury or death, but continues to maintain that the operation was a legitimate part of a criminal investigation. From federal enforcement actions to a federal policy change that will soon impact the finances of millions of seniors. Some Social Security recipients may find their monthly checks are smaller than expected later this month. This is due to the Social Security Administration, or SSA, implementing a more aggressive clawback policy on past overpayments. The agency is now authorized to garnish up to 50% of a recipient's monthly benefit to recoup money that was previously overpaid. This new garnishment rate, which was updated in an emergency message from the agency back in April, is set to go into effect on July 24th. Overpayments can occur for a variety of reasons, including administrative errors and miscalculations by the SSA, or if a recipient fails to promptly report changes in their income or marital status. The SSA has noted that while it is required by law to seek repayment, seniors impacted by these clawbacks are not without recourse. An expert familiar with the process told the Epoch Times that affected individuals have the right to appeal the overpayment determination. They can also apply for a waiver, which, if granted, would forgive the debt. The process for obtaining a waiver typically requires the recipient to prove that the overpayment was not their fault and that repaying it would cause significant financial hardship. For many seniors on a fixed income, a 50% reduction in benefits could be devastating, making the appeals and waiver processes critically important in the coming weeks. Turning now to a legal battle with major implications for healthcare access, a federal judge on Friday stood by her decision to block the Trump administration from cutting off federal funding to Planned Parenthood. The ruling upholds a temporary injunction against a key provision of a law recently passed by Congress, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That provision specifically bars Planned Parenthood clinics from receiving Medicaid reimbursements for a period of 1 year. The Department of Justice had urged the judge to lift the block, but she refused, maintaining the hold until at least July 21st. A full hearing on the case is now scheduled for this Friday, July 18th. At the heart of the issue is the long-running political and ideological conflict over Planned Parenthood. The organization is the nation's largest provider of abortions, and Republican lawmakers have for years sought to prevent any taxpayer dollars from flowing to the group. Supporters of the funding ban argue that it ensures federal money does not indirectly subsidize abortions. However, Planned Parenthood and its allies counter that federal law already prohibits the use of federal funds for most abortions. They stress that the Medicaid reimbursements in question pay for other essential health services provided to low-income Americans, such as cancer screenings, birth control, and pregnancy testing. The outcome of the upcoming hearing could set a significant precedent for the future of federal health funding and the services available to millions of Medicaid recipients. Finally, we turn to a controversy from the previous administration that is gaining new attention. In a recent interview, former President Joe Biden defended his extensive use of an auto pen for mass clemency decisions made during his final weeks in office. Speaking to the New York Times, Mr. Biden addressed the criticism surrounding what the White House at the time called the largest single-day act of clemency by a U.S. president, which pardoned or granted clemency to over 1,500 individuals. While Mr. Biden insisted that he made every decision on his own, he and his aides acknowledged that he did not individually review and approve each name. Instead, the former president approved the broad criteria to be used for qualifying for a pardon or sentence reduction. His staff then used an auto pen, a device that mechanically replicates a signature, to sign his name on the thousands of official documents. This practice has drawn sharp condemnation from Republicans, including President Donald Trump. In June, President Trump directed the Department of Justice to investigate Mr. Biden's use of the auto pen, suggesting it may have been part of a conspiracy to conceal a decline in the former president's cognitive state. President Trump told reporters he believes using an auto pen is inappropriate for important documents, arguing that individuals receiving an honor, like an ambassadorship, deserve a real signature. While past presidents have used auto pens for various documents, critics argue the sheer scale and significance of Mr. Biden's use for clemency actions is unprecedented and raises questions about the proper exercise of presidential authority.